For years, my days moved along without much drama, until the afternoon when an ambulance, a power-hungry HOA president, and the mayor's daughter all converged in the middle of my driveway. It sounds like the opening line of some absurd punchline, but there was nothing humorous about what unfolded. It began on a bright, cloudless Saturday. I had invited a handful of teenagers over to celebrate my daughter Chloe finishing her final exams. Among them was her closest friend, Emily, who just happened to be the mayor's daughter. Honestly, I never gave that detail much weight. To me, she was simply Emily, the polite, cheerful kid who'd been glued to Chloe's side since kindergarten. The house was buzzing with laughter. Music thumped through the walls. Pizza boxes were stacked high, and the girls were savoring their first taste of summer freedom. I stayed mostly in the kitchen, giving them space while pretending to tidy up. Then everything changed in an instant. A heavy thud echoed from the living room, followed by frantic screams that made my heart drop. I ran in and found Emily collapsed on the floor, gasping desperately for air. Her face had gone ghostly pale. The other girls were frozen in panic. Not knowing what to do, I bolted outside, pacing the driveway, straining to hear sirens. When I finally spotted the ambulance turning into our cul-de-sac, relief washed over me, only to vanish seconds later. The vehicle screeched to a halt. A spotless white sedan was parked smack in the middle of the narrow road, completely blocking access. And beside it stood Brenda, our HOA president, arms folded tightly and irritation written all over her face. I waved frantically. "Move your car. It's an emergency," I shouted, but she didn't budge. Instead, she shook her head as if I'd asked her for a favor instead of pleading for help. I ran toward her, desperation cracking my voice. "Brenda, please. There's a girl inside who can't breathe. You have to move your car." She regarded me with pure annoyance. "And whose fault is that?" she replied coolly. "I've warned you repeatedly about unauthorized gatherings. The noise level violates HOA bylaws, Section C, Paragraph 4, and I'm certain you've exceeded the approved vehicle limit." For a moment, I couldn't process what she was saying. Was she seriously reciting regulations while paramedics were being delayed? "Are you kidding me?" I choked out. "This is a medical emergency. Move the car." The paramedics had stepped out by then, signaling urgently for her to clear the road. She remained planted in place, intoxicated by her tiny slice of authority. "Rules are rules," she insisted. "Emergencies don't excuse you from community standards. I'll be filing a formal complaint. And this car," she added, patting her sedan, "stays until a tow truck removes one of your improperly parked guests." Rage surged through me. "Brenda," I warned, barely holding it together, "if you don't move that car in 3 seconds, I will." Meanwhile, the paramedics grabbed their equipment and sprinted on foot toward my house, losing precious time. Before things could spiral further, another vehicle screeched in behind the ambulance. A suited man leapt out, panic etched across his face. It was the mayor. Word of Emily's condition must have reached him. He took in the blocked ambulance, Brenda's defiance, and me standing there shaking with fury. His expression hardened instantly. He approached her calmly, but the tension in his voice was unmistakable. "What exactly do you think you're doing?" he asked quietly. Brenda faltered, clearly recognizing him. "Mr. Mayor, I'm simply enforcing HOA regulations. This homeowner is hosting." He cut her off. "The girl inside the house struggling to breathe is my daughter," he said, his voice low and sharp. "You are obstructing emergency services and endangering her life over a noise complaint." The color drained from Brenda's face. Reality finally seemed to sink in. Her hands trembled as she fumbled for her keys. Within moments, she had awkwardly driven her car onto her own lawn, clearing the way. The ambulance rushed forward, and the paramedics hurried Emily to the hospital. The mayor rode with them, pausing only to give me a nod filled with gratitude and shared anger. "Thank you," he said quietly. "We'll talk soon." What followed was swift and merciless for Brenda. News of the incident spread quickly. The mayor's office issued a public statement condemning the obstruction of emergency responders. Local media picked up the story, and suddenly Brenda was infamous for all the wrong reasons. The HOA convened an emergency meeting, and under immense pressure, plus the looming threat of legal consequences, she resigned not only as president but from the board altogether. Rumor has it she soon listed her home for sale. A few days later, the mayor stopped by with a fully recovered Emily. She hugged Chloe tightly, both girls tearing up from a scare. The mayor shook my hand, thanking me and apologizing for the ordeal. He assured me Brenda's actions were not just unethical, but unlawful, and that the city was reviewing measures to prevent such a situation from ever happening again. Looking back, it's chilling to imagine how differently that day could have ended. A life hung in the balance because someone chose petty authority over compassion. It reminded me that while rules exist for order, they should never override basic humanity. Sometimes you have to stand your ground, raise your voice, and demand what's right, especially when someone's life depends on it. I hope Brenda reflects on that wherever she is now. Our neighborhood feels calmer and kinder without her. Thanks for hearing me out. Follow for more stories.